we're all hands on deck, making sure everything is ready.
So on the 29th, you don't know it, Rodell.
You're coming to work.
But
Coming in.
when the state comes in for licensure, Donna will be in ICU and Yan will be in tele. You're going to be either on the 4th and Howard's going to be on the 3rd. So what we're talking about in here right now is how you're going to show the state. And also locate the fire alarms, the hose, the exit, our code, how it works, how we call, the shut-off valve, how they call light in. So absorb it now because you're going to be the representative of the day when the state comes in on the 29th.
That will be the best day to call in sick.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you didn't get that on tape.
I'm also going to give you a blueprint of the floor so that you can know where everything's at. So
Everybody has a blueprint.
no, now they're going to have to step on the floor that they're going to be on.
The floor that they have to be
Yeah.
representing.
So like here,
I'm always on the floor when the Steve, Jaco are on anyway.
So-
Maybe the night shift will be here for the first time. Maybe it will be a change, you know?
well,
Yeah.
that's really not.
Because I've been here ever since Jaco every 3 years.
Me too.
I stay-
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. This is one thing we have to explain that day on the 29th. Yes.
So I have to face the state again.
Yes, you do, okay?
You should be used to it by
I
now.
know, I remember the
You know
name, the
that.
face.
Every couple of years.
It's okay. Okay, Jonathan.
They'll remember you.
They all say, oh, it's you. It's
Yeah.
still working
You
here.
again.
They say that to me too.
One last device, and from what I was told, you're maybe not going to roll out with this right away. That's why I'm showing you at the end. But this is an equipment jack, so IV pumps, ventilators. Maybe you have a chair exit pad. There's a lot of devices, pretty much anything with that 1/4-inch jack. You know, kind of like plugging a guitar to an amp. You can plug into these devices here, and what that'll do is if those go into alarm or low battery, that'll also send an alert through the system. Again, my understanding is maybe right when you open, all the devices you have don't have those cables, but it is something that they can easily modify or get cables in and add it onto the devices. So for those, you know, if you had a pump, plug that pump into here. If that goes into alarm, it's not going to just alarm the room, but it'll light up the dome, go to the nurse's station, and go to the phone and send that text message.
So right now our pumps are
ICU is going to be on
on the boom. Okay, for us it's just still on the wall.
well, you're not going to use it yet.
Okay.
So 2 things to remember, both with the bed connector and with the medical equipment. You have a little button here that's a reset, right? So when if you go to unplug the bed, if you just hit this little button, it'll reset it. That way you don't need all the dummy plugs that you used to need. I don't know if any of you remember carrying all the dummy plugs in your pockets or not. They're not needed. But this is not going to clear out the call. So if there is a bed exit or something going on the bed, or if that device is an alarm, if you clear this button, all you're doing is basically resetting, but then it's going to send that call away right away. You need to clear that call from the device. Right? It's kind of a slave. It's just doing what it's told. Or as I like to say, it's my ideal child. It only does as it's told. So this is really more if you're removing the device, press that button and you won't get the cord out call. This one will give a bed out call once you unplug it. So just hit that button whenever you unplug, and that way the device won't be placing an alarm. But I do have some people that think that by hitting this, it's clearing it, but you got to remember that device is still sending that signal.
So it's actually when we're removing that bed.
Press a dimple.
Yeah.
Yep, when you're pressing the bed and you pull that off,
Yeah.
just hit that button and it won't be sending a cord out call.
Okay.
Okay.
So press first and then unplug.
Oh, unplug and then press.
Just unplug and then press.
Yep.
Sort of like right now we pull out and then we turn.
Yeah.
What's this thing called?
Nightlight. Is that a nightlight?
Is it bright enough? Doesn't look very bright. Who's our engineer?
Well, I see that
What
on
is
the
that?
floor.
What's
I
that?
believe it's
Rich, what is
nightlight.
that?
I believe it's nightlight.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really? There you go.
You can see you do have a little backlighting on the station, so at night too, they can see. All right. So, if there's no other questions, what we're going to do is I'm going to have you just come stand outside here, and I'm going to hit all of these calls so you can hear what's going on. See the dome light?
That's dialysis, Rodell.
Dialysis.
Is it covered by the bed?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, so when you dog lights, you turn the bed
Pull the
this way.
bed out.
Oh, you can just.
So
turn it
ideally,
over.
if you're gonna dog lights, pick a single.
This is your light control,
The lights. Oh, these are the lights.
set by your head wall people.
Okay. And the light.
See, this is why I always do 2 hours for the first one, because you're seeing everything for the first time.
Oh, here's like, it's like kids, you gotta push every button.
Suction.
And the reason why we did it on both sides is that, you know, sometimes we have patients with chest tube, and we gotta get them up, well, chest tube on the left, or then you have to get them up on the left. You get chest tube on the right, you get them up on the right. Instead of trying to go across the bed and try to get through suction. So that was really important to get suctions on both sides. And then sometimes we
That's
have
gonna be
more
for
I
your
than-
sent
TV.
the announcement
That's
to
your TV.
David and Michelle.
That's only in a
So
two-minute
if
ward.
any of your
that's
guys wanna come
TV.
home later.
TV, this is the
It's
photo
been
booth
They're
again.
here.
No,
Yeah,
it's like-
yeah, let me
Swing
do
over.
that.
Oh,
What were you doing?
because ideally, it would have been nice to have it toward the door, but, okay.
Or higher.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. So do you see that nice bright white light?
Yes.
Somebody's listening. So whenever you see that white light on, that's your privacy light. That means that somebody's at the nurse's station and there is a two-way audio connected into the room.
Ooh.
This is where you can't see your charge nurses say, you know what.
Yes, so
You still can't cancel it?
always watch your
Outside.
P's and Q's when you see that white light on. Somebody is listening.
Somebody keeps dropping on you when
That's
it's.
eavesdropping on
White
the
light
outside.
is outside.
So if you see that
And that-
white light on and you don't want anybody to be listening in, hit the cancel button on the station.
On the station.
Station.
You can't do it outside.
No, on the patient station, right there where you are. Go ahead and hit the cancel.
It's off.
Cancel.
It's not going off.
It's not?
No, I pressed it many times. Hold down longer.
No, press it on for.
Press
4
the light.
seconds.
There.
Yeah.
Alright.
4 seconds.
Did you cancel that or did they cancel it?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can
Oh,
get
he
that
did it?
adjusted to where you can override that and cancel it from here.
Oh, you can,
Will
yeah.
you hit this button here?
Yes, we
Okay.
just held it down.
So we can set that up to where you can override it and cancel that and it'll cut off the audio.
Okay.
We can set that up.
So that white.
And how did you,
But
yeah, I'm sorry.
Pardon?
How did you connect to here to listen again? What
So
what
there's,
did you press?
one, it's just answering a call, but if there's no calls placed, you can manually call into a room. And I'm gonna show you that here in just a couple steps. So the next thing we wanna do is have you stand outside, we'll place all the calls. We'll see the lights and the tones.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is we'll sit down at the nurse's station, I'll show you how to answer calls, how to manually call into a room so you can listen in and talk to the patient and do assignments.
Okay.
Okay.
Pardon?
All right.
That's what I have that.
What?
The intercom from
We did a
outside.
long time ago.
Yeah, what happened to it? Nobody.
No, we still have it.
Using it, but the patients can't hear because they're following you back.
That's what, you can't use that.
I'm just hitting the generic, so you get the top yellow light there. Oh, nope, just go ahead and stay out there, I'm gonna hit all the calls for you.
It's hard.
So this is the bedpan. Assist, so you got an orange, a flashing orange.
Associate with urine.
Do we have a color?
Brown for being.
Oops, sorry.
No, I'm only kidding.
How can I help you?
Oh, hello.
Hello.
You're jumping ahead.
How can I help you?
All right, so this is the pain med.
Oh, green is
Green is pain.
Is that the emergency?
Staff emergency.
There will be a sound to go with it.
Jonathan, do those all match these?
I'm gonna make sure. I went off of what we had, but I wasn't sure if anything changed, so. Pretty self-explanatory, right?
And then the flash.
So it's everywhere.
Okay, so red here, so Johnson, we don't have a red.
Red is typically reserved for fire, so when you see a fire alarm, and I don't have a way to simulate that, it'll scroll like the code blue, but it'll scroll all red.
So we can't use this in
Okay?
I think there was a thing on the wall, like for emergency area. Is that
For-
emergency?
Emergency is
Yellow and
yellow
green.
blinking.
Oh, it's just yellow.
Top one yellow, the second
blinking
one is
with the green.
green. Yeah. This is the courthouse, so this means the pillow speakers become unplugged.
Oh, okay.
Right, so you can hear the little Fred Flintstone on his tiptoes bowling. That's the way I can think of doing something associated with that one.
Great, yeah. So this is just
It's called double take, so it kind of makes you go back, oh, what, something's unplugged. And what are the two ways to clear out a pillow speaker's been unplugged? There's two ways to clear out that call. What are they? Hold the cancel button,
You press that other little.
and the second one,
You press that little black button.
Just
Right
going
here.
into the.
plug in another pillow speaker, right? So either plug the pillow speaker back in or hold down on the cancel. Those are the two ways to get rid of that call. So this is the push for assistance. Now, you guys said we want to make sure this tones and acts the same, so we'll make sure this goes the same.
So that would be the pull light and the assist.
No, this is just, all I did was hit the push assist.
But the
So-
color would be the same.
Yep, that pretty violet versus
What are you pushing?
the pull for emergency.
Oh, this is the bathroom?
This is the bathroom, right? So what I could do is, we can set it up for whether they hit the button or if they pull it, we'll make it act like this.
Yes,
What color is this? Pink?
lavender.
Lavender.
And then the,
For us, purple.
Purple. Yeah.
wow, wow.
Lavender.
That's my, I like that.
Purple. Says who you're talking to.
Of lavender.
So
Lavender.
the yellow will be the, for the bathroom. We'll show
It's
that.
called it into
lavender.
No, it's the call light.
No.
Yellow
the
is
bathroom.
routine.
Yellow.
Modified, now's the time to let me know, sooner the better. Okay?
Any objections, guys? Except simulate like you're in a different color.
No, I would like to start emergency color, but so we can't.
Can't.
Because it just correlates with the bell, that's why.
Yeah.
To remember that it's just not emergency.
But one thing that you mentioned is when the patient calls for bedpan, it will go to the nurse's aid.
We haven't programmed that yet. It can go to a nurse's aid. It
What I'm
can,
saying, yeah, at night we don't have a CNA.
so that's what I mean. You can program it. That's what you can do. You can program it to the nurse's aid during the day.
Forever.
And if she doesn't answer it, it escalates to the RN. And if she doesn't answer it, then it escalates to the charge nurse. So that, therefore, in the night when you don't have the nurse's aid, you program it straight to you.
Okay.
So that's why you guys have to learn how to program. Okay.
Well, that's kind of getting into the programming. We don't normally give, I guess I could, that's still getting into setup. We don't usually give that setup password because then you can get in and change a lot of things.
Oh, okay.
So usually the way we set which calls go to what
I guess
staff
that's Philip
members.
I'm talking about, so I assume yours
Yes.
would be the same.
No, that's all done through, it's a password protected.
Okay.
How you want that set up.
Okay.
To have the routine go out to everybody or to just go there, that's something we can do on the fly. But as far as when they hit that bedpan button, if you want that to just go to the aid or just go to the RN or go to both, that's kind of a hard set. I'll show you what I'm talking about so you
So
can
it
see.
looks like it's all orange. Okay.
So we can set up to go to both or just one or the other. But the escalation is true. I can set it up, where it's set up to just go to the aid, and maybe we put that as a 2-minute timer, and if the aid hasn't responded in 2 minutes, then it goes to the assigned RN. We can set it up that way. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go over here to the nurse's station, and I'm going to show you here, go over some of the basic ones. So we'll go through the tabs really fast. I'll place a call, I'll show you how to answer it, and then we'll get into a little bit more detail on the tabs. But first you can see the answer call, it's kind of grayed out. There's no calls coming in. So when I place a call, you'll see how that lights up. Manual call, that gives you the ability to call into any room at any time. All right, that's going to turn that white privacy light on. on any room that you call into. Patients is your patient information. Staff would be your staff information. Audio page, I don't believe we have that set up right now. Not used as much anymore, but that gives you the ability to call into a bank of rooms at once. So I could set that up to where you could call into all of these rooms at one time. Kind of old-fashioned way of doing things. Some people still utilize it. Swing. The swing gives you the ability, and this is where you're going to help me out a little bit today. Let's say there is a room on the other side of the hospital that normally only reports to that nurse station. If there is ever a time that you would want that to also report here, you know, I do have some facilities that are maybe run with 2 nurse stations during the day, but then at nighttime they go down to 1. So what they do is they have all those calls report just to 1 nurse station, and in the morning they remove that swing, and now those calls go over here and these calls go over here. So that's just some flexibility in the system. Call. Some people don't like the map. So if you hit the call, now it's just going to go to our call display. So it's just going to show the calls as they're coming in. I'll show you that in a minute. And you can see the button changed the verbiage. Now it says map. If I hit that button, now it's my map, but now the next time I hit it, it'll go to the call screen. Call master gives you the ability to call the other nurse stations. So let's see, we can hit. Do you hear it ringing over there?
Yeah.
Reports, I'm probably going to hide this button unless you really want it. Again, this gives you the ability to go in and look at your staff assignments and what's been done, kind of a snapshot of everyone. You do have the option of syncing this to a printer. So once you do your staff assignments, you can print it up. You know, we still have some smaller rural hospitals that will print this up and put it on a clipboard and put it up on the desk here for everybody to see. Equipment, you will have the ability once they decide to start tagging things like IV pumps, wheelchairs, ventilators. We can put tags on those, and so you'd be able to locate them just by looking at this. I know they're not looking at rolling out with that functionality right away, but it is something that's there for future. And you have this little arrow here, message master. So just like we can call the other masters, hear that boing over there? You can actually send text messages back and forth between the nurse stations. I see that mainly used at nighttime, keeping the noise levels down if you want to communicate over with the other side or
Which
another
one did you
floor.
hit for that?
I hit the 4th floor, one of the 4th floor ones, so
Oh,
right there.
just that arrow button.
Yeah, I'll probably put that down there and maybe move the audio page over here because that's not going to really get used. So, we'll go through those in some depth here. Let me place the call. So, call's been placed. We can see that's now, looks like the phone's ringing, right? You can also see in the room.
It's ringing.
Again, if you don't like the map, and you're the one sitting here, hit that button. And then you're just going to see the room, the type of call, patient name, and how long that call's been in the system. There's multiple ways to answer this call. I could touch on the room and hit answer call. If I'm on here, I could touch right on there and it's going to answer the call. Or
Just
if I'm over here, just by hitting answer call, right? It's probably the easiest. When you hit answer call, it's going to pick the top call. So if you have 3 calls coming in at once, whoever hit their button first and hit answer call, that's going to be the first one you answer. That's why I like to show you, especially on the map or the other. Maybe you have someone who's a little button happy. Happens every once in a while. But that next second or third person hit their button, it's a little bit more legit. You can switch and answer their call first. Okay. So then you just pick up the handset. You have really good audio. All right. Now once everything gets fully in there in the bed and stuff, it's going to be a little bit less just because of the acoustics in the room. But how can I help you? This is another thing that I need from you right now is right here. I can fill this screen up with soft tabs. So you're gonna tell me, and we don't need to do it right now, but it's a list that you can compile over the next week. What are the more common reasons, whether it's a patient, a family member, or a fellow staff member in the room? If they're hitting that routine call and this being answered here, what are the more common reasons why do you need them to the room? Right? Blanket, cold, spill in the room, beeping in the room, assistance needed, assist MD, whatever those are, I want to fill this screen for you as much as possible. Because what this is going to do, let's say I'm talking to them, oh, I want pain med, right? Not everybody's going to remember to hit the pain med button. Sometimes they hit the routine. So if I hit pain med, okay. If I hit an okay, that clears out the call, but that pain med call just was sent to the person assigned to their phone as a text message.
The RN.
The RN. Okay. Room 4, or 405A,
What's a
pain med. And you can see
It's green.
we have a flashing green. When you see that flashing green, or you can also manually call into the room. We're going to go 405A. Let's say they also wanted a blanket. So now you'll get a toggle between two calls, letting you know that both staff levels have been requested to.
Pain meds
Med
and
Yeah. So
orange is bedtime.
Yeah, is that blanket?
just by walking into the room, not a new cancel, right? So now I know the nurse is in the room, but that aid request has still been placed.
Also, if it's not flashing, that means the nurse is in the room.
Yeah, they're in the room.
Okay. So,
They're being located in the room. So now the requests have been cleared out, but you know both of those staff members are in the room. You can also see on the map, you see both their initials, RS and JP. So whoever's sitting here will be able to see where their fellow staff members are. If we're on the call mode, you have that down here, the locators. So on a typical day, this is how you'll see that screen when you'll see everybody's, what rooms that they're in.
so they know where if you're in the back.
And then when they leave the room, just
Yeah.
takes a
The
couple
med-
seconds.
yeah.
Now they're cleared out. So if they're not inside a patient room, you won't see on here, but you do see on the map. You're on the nurse's station, and then you'll see them just kind of bouncing through.
Oh, so
It's
you
not a
can-
Harry Potter map. It's not real time. You don't see them floating around the unit. It's just more we have them located here, then here, then here, then here.
So you see where if
So you can
somebody's
locate the
not
staff
moving.
then?
Yeah.
Yes.
They have ankle monitor.
Yes.
You know what I
Very
mean,
close.
right?
Anywhere you are.
Besides badging in
So
then,
for
so we can also
speakerphone?
pick them up.
Yeah, so let's say, so that's answering a call, right? To be able to talk to them. Let's say you just want to call them to the room. Again, you continue call. Now this is a dual bedroom. For your single rooms, so let's say 404, you don't have to choose between the bed, right? How can I help you? Right? And then you'll still be able to send a request out. Or, to me that's the easiest. Some people like to hit manual call and then choose the room. And talk right in. Ideally, you want to tell it what to do, but if you just hang up, actually this is a key thing to remember. If a call's coming in, that's not this. Right? And I answer this call, how can I help you? Okay, we'll be right there. Now if all I do is hang up the phone, I haven't sent a request, I didn't hit cancel, what I've done is basically put that call on hold. If nobody goes into that room
It's still got
and
lights
clears
on.
it out in about 4 minutes, I think is what we have it set, 4 or 5 minutes, this is going to start ringing again.
Because
So
nobody answered
traditionally
the
what
call.
happens is this starts ringing again, so what do? You hit answer call, how can I help you? And what are they going to say? I didn't hit the button. I'm still waiting. Oh,
Nobody
there's a
answered
ghost
it.
in the system. It's just calling randomly. It's not calling randomly. It's like I said, it's kind of my ideal child. It's just going to do what I tell it to. So if you're not sending a request, now if I hit a request and hang up, right? You got your little elapse bar right there. At least I told it to do something, right? So now that request has been sent, and the only way this is going to call back is if nobody goes in to address that. So we're not going to clear that out. I want to show you what a recall is. So we've sent the request. That request went to the assigned caregiver's phone as a text message, but maybe they just haven't had time to get into there, so we'll let that keep running. And you'll see when that comes up. You can also, from here, you can see where your requests are too. So if there's an unanswered request that's been placed, you're going to see that right over here. You can see a little circle on here, right, that shows that a nurse has been requested, but to know a little bit more specifics, this gives you a little bit more detail. Make sense? So that's answer call, manual call, patient. We are tied into your admit discharge transfer system. So when somebody gets admitted, their name is going to automatically show up on here for you.
It's registration.
They went
right?
with that option. That was a late.
Yeah,
That was a
that's
late
good.
choice that they went with, and it makes
we
your
don't have
life
to
a lot
wait until
easier.
Smart choice.
So kudos to Keith and his IT team and Michelle and them
So
for
same
going with
thing
that.
goes on all floors.
Bed, they are going to just show up here for you, so
What
you don't
about
have to
the
manually input
discharge?
it.
Same.
Same with the discharge, yes.
Okay.
But one thing to remember, the discharge is kind of driven by your EMR system. So just because somebody's left the room doesn't mean all the paperwork's done,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
These people still have their duties to
Yeah.
put in and discharge, so it may still show that somebody's in the room even though they've gone home. There's a way we can override it, which won't affect your medical records, but it can at least tie into the EVS and get that whole room cleaning flow a little sooner. All right, and I'll show you that here in just a second. But, so your patients are just going to show up automatically. They'll be in there. So there's a couple ways you can do this. Just by touching right here though, that's how you're going to do your staff assignments. So as we train everybody, we want them to type in their name and their staff level and get all of them in the system here. So what it's going to do is all you have to do is touch on there, oh, and then you've got, that's off. These people are assigned to that room, okay? That's what's going to populate their boards in there too with the staff levels. So again, as soon as a new patient comes in, you can touch on their name if you wanted and go over here to do the staff assignments. To me, it's just as easy if they're right here to touch right on that and do your assignments from there. If you want to get a little bit more detail on them, touch on their name. You can change their gender. The account number and patient identifier we don't want to change. That's going to be coming through the ADT system, right? So we want to leave those alone. Date of birth and all that as well. You can change them from a routine to a priority or an emergency. So if I change this person to an emergency, basically I'm saying they've got that higher acuity level. If more than one person is placing a call at the same time, their call is going to come in on top. Right. Activity diagnostic. These are just staff communication fields. You can type in whatever you want, and the way you do that, you come here, detail, new. So what's a typical activity somebody would see on the floor?
Up and chair for meals.
Up and chair for meals. Somebody want to? I'm not as good as typing upside down.
Oh.
So do you want to type in
Type in.
up and chair for meals?
I'm not a good typer. Do it.
Oops. No. Neither am I. Up.
For meals.
Okay.
And then
Okay, so if we hit select, now that's in there forever until we delete it. So the nice thing is the system's going to remember. So we can do this, and then you would just touch on it. But if we ever want to add a new one, which is usually when you first get using the system, after a month or so, you won't ever have to add anything in because it'll just be there. What would be another one?
well,
Ambulate.
ambulate on the hallway 3 times a day.
Hallway.
Even nighttime.
They're sleeping.
That's when you copy and paste.
And then select.
So that's
Select. So now, when we come back and we pull up this information, both of those are going to be there. Anytime you come up with one that isn't on that list,
Yeah.
detail, new,
Okay.
you type it in,
Yeah.
and it'll stay in there for you.
Collect-
Right, so the
collect
list will
urine
grow. the more
specimen
you
for
use it.
UA.
No,
Oh, and then if you
okay,
wanted
now
to
this
remove
is
it-
activities, Johnson,
Oh,
just
just
for the whole
activities.
admissions, or can
If you
we
wanted
do-
to remove it, if you touch on it, you can hit remove.
So, I
Yeah, there you go.
Can I put in like I need a urine specimen, or is that not the right screen for it?
This is activities for the patient.
That's just more activity for the patient.
So we have a different screen
So
for
that would be like
specimen.
procedures.
It's like urine specimens, like an order.
You have your patient memo
You
and
could
staff
scan
memo,
it. Okay.
right, which you can use for your staff to staff. Again, those messages aren't really going anywhere, it's just more for here. Some things you'll often see in the patient memo, maybe a family member isn't allowed in the room or allowed to see them, things like that. Any kind of hard of hearing, you know, doesn't speak English, whatever the case is. And so that way, when somebody's answering that call and that information comes up, they'll see it all there on the screen.
How about those precautions like no blood pressure on one arm or
So
something?
those,
That's probably orders.
actually I wanted to show you real fast. So remember I said we won't answer that?
Yeah, now it's removed.
See the flashing R? That means a recall. That means something was sent for that room, we send out a request, but nobody went into the room to address it. So when you see that flashing R coming up, it's going to give you a choice. Do you want to cancel the request and speak with the patient? Keep the request and speak with the patient, or keep it and not talk to them? So maybe, and this is again, everybody's going to have their badges, right? So when you see this screen come up at this facility, that means nobody's come into the room. There are some facilities that don't use this technology where maybe somebody did go in and address the patient, but they just didn't hit the cancel button. So that's why we give that option to cancel it here. I would probably recommend we don't want to cancel it because, again, that means that nobody's been in the room. They should have been located in with their device. So you'll just be probably hit that button. Hi, I just want to let you know, we know you're still waiting. They're on their way. We didn't forget about you. Hang up the phone, and then that starts the timer over again.
And you said the timer is 4 minutes.
For the routine, we can change all that. It's all modified in the programming. I think that was 5 minutes. Sure seemed like 5 minutes. We'll need to come back and do a little bit more fine tuning on it for my personal taste.
Okay.
But yes, you can see you have these right here, and then you have one inside the room, so you need to physically cross in
There's one inside.
to be located in. Staff. So this is where I'm going to have all of you start touching the system. I got here before and I removed all the shock features, so there's nothing to worry about. Okay. But the way that we put a new staff member in the system, well, you tell me, if we wanted to put a new staff member in the system, what do you think we would press?
New staff.
New staff. All right.
You're going to be doing the assignment.
All right. You can get that, so go ahead and sit down. So start typing in your last name.
Low
Say,
down.
okay, does he have to say okay first? Oh, no, I can do it.
And then tab or touch over there. There you go. Oops. Okay, hit OK. There are 3 key points to creating a staff member. 1, putting in their name. 2nd is assigning their staff level. So touch on that black box there.
And doctor, lab, x-ray. What's the ABS?
Housekeeping.
Environmental service.
So fancy. Environmental service.
Very PC these days.
Okay, like for
Service.
respiratory that comes not to every room,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
do we need to go in there every time like a patient comes in, go in with staff, or every day, or whatever?
That's really up to you. If you want respiratory to show up on the boards or not, that's up to you. A lot of facilities will have respiratory in the system, but they won't necessarily assign them to every room. The nice thing is if they are put into the system, now when they walk in the room, their name will appear on the board and their picture will show up, but when they leave, it's removed. If we assign them to the room, you know, on the board how we show the RN and the aide on there, their names would permanently be on there.
So we don't need it.
So I probably wouldn't assign them to rooms, but definitely have them in the system with a badge, so when they do walk in and out of rooms, they show up.
But our
You know those
engineers and-
patients
yeah.
that have nebulizer treatments like routinely, probably the
Well, that's what
CPU.
That's what
you
you
just
say.
walk in, it badges
Yeah.
up.
It will
it's
still
just
pick
statement.
up, yeah.
So these are the staff levels that have been given to us with
okay.
with it in Chinese, so it shows up on there. If we want to add more, just again, let your team know. They'll let me know, and we'll get those staff levels added.
Okay.
Will all staff have even the positions or just
That's
their
the
seats
goal.
staff?
The goal is to have everybody with a badge. So what's your staff assignment? What's your staff level? Clerk?
No, no.
Are you
I'm just kidding.
RN?
He's in
Okay.
charge, right? And then,
So we've put in the level. Now we also want to assign a shift. Now one thing that hasn't been given to me is all your shift times. So what I need to do is, and you'll give me that list, you know, is it 7 to 3 or 8 to 5, whatever the case may be. I'll put all of those in there so you can assign yourself to the shift. Now that's not set in stone. You'll always be able to change your shift if you're picking up a shift or working nights. For right now, we just have continuous. And then you hit OK. And then hit save. You are now in the system. Okay. So, Rodell, why don't you assign yourself to room 402 and 406?
402, 406.
bed.
405 and
402 and 406.
402.
406.
And then hit OK.
Okay.
Okay, and then save.
Oh,
Now for me, an easier way to do that would have been if your name's right there, just touch right on there. Right, and it brings up that same list, so it saves you a step.
Oh, it's
If
easy.
you're going to be sitting here doing these staff assignments, right, if I can save you 2 button presses per staff member,
Yeah.
that could end up being 50 button presses by the end of the day. Save
Oh,
the
that's
fingers.
much easier.
So you just touch the space.
Yep. You also are going to have your wireless phones and your badges.
We have to assign wireless
Right.
phones too.
So the wireless phone, you would just touch on there. We don't have the phones yet in the extensions, but all your phone extensions would pop up here. There'll be a phone extension on the back. You know, it's usually they try to minimize it. You know, maybe it's going to be number 102. In which case, then you would just select the 102. For your badges, and now my understanding is you're not necessarily gonna have these float staff to staff, but you're gonna assign them.
I don't know.
Okay. Of course, it's easy if you assign them, right? Once you assign it, then you never have to change it. If these are going shift to shift, but also there's times that people forget them. We are human, right? So your identifiers on the back, so you can see 774969, 774969. It's the last 6 digits there. So when you're assigning it to somebody, look at those digits. You'll match up with what's on the list. You'll select it. If it's grayed out, it means it's already been selected. So
There's more.
So how many are you issuing in each room?
I'm not sure exactly how many badges they've got.
So you guys have to figure out who gets it and who doesn't.
So
Can we just get it
we
and
got
keep it?
774840. Yep.
That's a lot to be going on.
Okay. And then hit close. Now this badge is assigned to you. So every time you were to walk in and out of a room, you would be located in and out.
What do you think the best way to do that is?
Trying to figure it
yeah.
out, how much should I
Yeah,
get?
easy.
I don't know if you're actually this one doesn't have a board installed yet. And I don't think they've done that integration with all the photos yet. That was all just kind of worked out last week, but
So if we assign
but his
ours-
name is on here, right? It knows your
Yes.
name. So now if I were to run a management report tomorrow on the activity on this unit, I would see that you went into that room.
We're at 10 seconds.
He left it in there, so he's still in there.
still
Now
in
he
there.
just came out.
So Riddell wasn't in there for 10 seconds. Okay.
I let him stay in there for at least a minute. He does
Okay.
a good job.
Okay.
They just like to tease.
So Simi, what was your question?
Like if one was assigned to CPU, and it won't be specific to each tab, because otherwise we'll have like one for everybody. If we're like changing shift, we just pass it along to the next person.
If you're changing
Yes.
shift, what you're going to want to do is you still need to assign it to that person, so their name should be in
So
there.
every day we're gonna have to change names on that per shift.
No, we would have their names in the system already.
Yeah, but you have to match
No,
this
but
up.
we're-
But
Yeah.
just match that to them.
These are a shared device.
We're sharing
You're
with
gonna have to
staff.
assign in every shift.
Every shift.
Yep. So you'll be coming to staff. Now, once we get everybody in here, this list is gonna get kind of long, right? Ideally, wherever you set yourself up, you're assigned to that unit. You have your units right here. So if you work multiple floors, assign yourself to multiple floors. If you only work one, assign yourself to that unit. Again, it can be changed. Let's say you pick up a shift and now you're going to be working on the second floor and you don't normally work there. When you come on, you won't see your name on that list. So we have show all. Show all is going to show you people that are not assigned on this particular unit. They're assigned everywhere else in the facility. So you'd hit show all, and then you can even hit find. And then it's just like your cell phones. Just start typing in. You know, I'm terrible with the upside down. But if I just started going J-O, and where's that?
What's the time?
Jonathan.
Right, it condenses the list.
Oh, yeah.
Right? There is no John in there. So we just backspace one, right? But just like your cell phone, start typing in your first or your last name, and it'll condense the list to where you could find you. So start typing in your name.
So who puts in all the name of the nursing staff?
It's gonna
We're
be.
going to do that while we train, because I like to see everybody do it. It's easy enough, or if you have a list, a master list before you open, I'd probably have your unit clerk or secretary. If you want to get me that list before you open, we'll go ahead and do that step for you.
Is the list gonna be just one, or they're going to be so?
Copy you on the email. When we
Okay.
get done today, there's going to be a couple follow-up items,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to copy everybody.
So the
to keep
assignments for
communication.
each shift, program it to a hard copy.
Well, we need to link this computer that's mounted up under the desk, the computer to the printer, so you would be able to hit
And
print.
we can do it.
There should be a
There should be a printer in every
Yeah.
unit these
There
days.
is.
And then the printer
Yeah.
should be networked too. So
Yeah.
it should,
Yeah, so it's just a matter of
yeah.
figuring out what IP address to have it go there to make it
This
happen.
is nursing station 1, it'll have a printer.
They should be able to.
Down there will be nursing station 2, they'll have 2
typically
printers.
for respiratory, we have 2 people in the morning. Should we have 2 separate ones, and then each person is responsible for putting themselves in every day? And then night shift just grabs one and put their,
You need to come up with your.
Toilet,
process.
who's in the toilet?
Yeah, she's in there. Somebody's
Who's
in
in
there.
the toilet?
Somebody's
Yeah, she's cleaning. She's
I recognize this.
He's
Yeah,
clean.
she's in the toilet. So what would you do? You gotta answer the call. What's your name?
Answer your toilet. Answer your call.
Where do you get your?
How do you call? We want to answer that call. Go back to the system.
How do you close this?
Okay, go to
Close everything.
close out.
Okay, so we hit answer call.
Answer.
Now, the bathroom pull cord, by code, we can't remotely cancel from here, right?
Gotta
Just
go
the
in and
payment, the
get it.
bedpan, and the routine. But your audio
no.
should be good enough to where you can call in and simply say, hey, we know you've pulled your cord, we're on our
Excuse me,
way,
Miss Wong, can I help you?
Yeah.
right?
And then next.
Now, if it's a bathroom
Can
pull
they
cord,
hear
you're
that?
probably not gonna
Yes,
have a
they
two-way
can.
conversation.
Oh,
You're
there's no
probably just
two-way.
gonna answer it and say,
Yeah,
hey,
somebody has to go there.
Somebody has
Yeah.
to go manually.
we're on our way, right? And at least just let them know, and then when somebody physically gets in the room, they'll hit cancel it once they've addressed the patient, help them off the floor, or whatever the case is.
Conversation mostly at the bedside, not at the bathroom.
Your pain med, your bedpan, and your routine, those are bedside conversations. When you see that bathroom pull cord, I have some facilities that just don't answer it right. I mean, why just get in there?
That one is good.
Hey, I'm just about to take my break. I'll be with you in a minute. No. Just get in there.
Go in there
I told her I did it a lot more, so
Expect the person to go there.
Yeah.
We go downstairs. I think
It's better that we just go there, right? The only thing right away.
Yeah, it is.
It's better.
You can add to your steps too.
So we'll make sure that we let him know about network.
Let's say
but
I start at 7 o'clock and I want to find out
How do they know who?
who are my patients.
They call our office.
And then
Yep. So, well, what you would do, actually, if we were on the map, you would see all the beds, see how there's beds. If you just hit patients, that's going to give you your list of who's on the floor. It's going to tell you what rooms they're in, if they're a routine, emergency, or priority. The acuity, that's up to you if you want to be changing that. I mean, it's easy enough just to say, okay, now they're acuity of 4, and then your staff assignments.
Who sets this up? The status.
You do right here. I don't believe that's going to come over from your ADT.
Okay, so once the patient is admitted, or do we change that every time there's a change
You would
in the
change it per
patient?
patient. And it's something that really isn't changed that often.
I see, okay.
Right?
Depends on how the patient is.
Depends how the patient
Go
is.
back and
And
do the another
Are we
study.
still gonna have our walls over here in this floor?
Yeah, they'll be floating around.
We'll have computers, you'll have, I mean, we'll chart here, we'll chart in there, but not as much walls.
Because let's say I have 5 RN who's coming at all of them are 7 o'clock, and they want to find out their assignment. So everybody has to log in.
No, you gotta print it out.
you can do your assignments early,
Yeah, that's what I
right?
do.
Yeah, you can do them early before they're on shift.
Yeah, and then I can just print them
Print it out.
and then give them one by one.
So that's the only way that the staff would know what their assignment is. There's not a way that they log in and they say, oh, okay, this is.
They are actually, and it hasn't been installed yet, but you are going to have another computer here, another monitor,
Yeah.
which is going to work as your whiteboard. So your unit whiteboard.
Yeah.
So if you do the assignments
Assignment,
early
you
in
can
that,
show up
they're going to
over
be
there.
able to come in and they're going to see a list, you know, room 401, 402, 403, 404, and who's the assigned nurse and who's the assigned aide.
Okay, can I
That's all
ask you-
going to be on that monitor.
What do we do during that overlap time? Rodell comes in at 7 o'clock, he's signed a Fong to a patient. It's 7:10. It's gonna go to Fong's name, or is it still gonna go to the shift that still hasn't signed off yet?
It's going to go to the shift that's assigned for that time.
So therefore, I am at 7 o'clock, just got on, I'm getting
When
all
the
of her phone
outgoing
calls. I mean, all of her calls. There's an overlap period where if a patient calls, it should still go back to the previous shift and not to
Okay.
the oncoming shift. How do you take care of that?
Just because if they're still assigned that phone,
Uh-huh.
and they're still going to get those calls.
So
they still
even,
have
Because the phone is still what is
In their
done with
hand.
that patient assignment.
okay.
So just because my shift ended at 6:50, but it's 7:10 now, if I'm still assigned to that patient and I still have that phone is still going to chime for that patient.
Until it's physically handed over.
Until, yep, so what would happen is you would, when it comes time when you don't want that person answering the calls anymore, they're going to be handing their phone over to somebody,
So that's
correct?
the end of report then?
Right? Because, yeah, so the phones don't go home with you. The phones are
Right,
shift to
right.
shift.
Okay.
So when it comes time for that phone, you're going to come into your staff assignments, right? And then let's say I wanted to assign this person, we don't have the phones in there. But let's say this was the phone numbers, right? And I assign him to that phone. See how it says conflict? That means it's been double assigned. 2 people have been assigned that. That's the same with the phones. So you hand me your phone, I come in, I assign myself that phone, it's going to say conflict. I would go back to you who just got off shift, remove the phone from yours, and that
go
would
to the next.
actually, where's the none? None. And now that resolves the conflict, and now this phone is still receiving the calls.
So Rodell, how would you resolve this then? At the
We have a
end?
gap.
We turn it over at the end of report then, huh?
We're giving report, okay?
That's part
Night
of the
shift will
report.
be giving report, we're receiving report. After the report have been done, handed
Hand it over.
And
hand it
then
over.
that's the time you do the change over here.
Is this the only monitor that we can assign ourselves?
Yes. You have one at each nurse station. So you could do it at other nurse stations. Remember, if you go to a unit or a station that you're not on, but you're on another one, if you were to hit show all, you'll be able to modify it. So I could be down on the 3rd floor, and I could do my assignments for up here if I wanted to. As far as, changing the phones and all that.
Also, each nurse, when they're assigned to the phone, they will be the one to change it when they
Okay.
get it
When they
from the
give
previous
report.
shift, not the charge nurse, right?
I usually see the charge nurse still doing it. I mean, most of my facilities out there, it's still the charge
Because
nurse.
when we do
I mean,
this-
it could be simply as, hey, I now have, Angela's phone extension 203. And then because he's here so much and he would just come in and,
Because we
staff and be able to
usually
easily
do
change
the
it.
assignment just before their shift starts. So that's when we do the assignment. So there's actually a 30-minute gap. That's when we are giving the report.
Okay.
So you
The
can do
actual,
the assignment and then hold off on the phone.
the phone would be the last thing, but
That's it.
assigning
Okay.
people to
So
rooms,
after
because
the-
I can assign one person or I can assign everybody to the
Right.
rooms.
Okay.
If somebody isn't on shift, if their shift doesn't start for another 15, 20 minutes, you'll still be able to find them in that list and do their room assignments. So really the last piece, it sounds like, is going to be once you do the shift change, is to come back and just adjust that phone.
Centrac as well.
It could potentially, but I'm pretty sure they were going to go with one per. We have to double check. But I think that was the initial intent.
And
was to
when
make
we
sure
hand
everybody
over
had
the
it.
phone, let's just say phone is giving me a report. We're taking care of 401A and 401B. She gives me the report, then she gives me the phone. Rodell has already assigned the phone to me. What if all of a sudden he gives me a patient that's on way down at the other end?
Correct.
Do I have to go after that nurse, or can I change my phone to put that patient in this phone?
That is going to be done through your assignment. So whatever phone you're assigned to, whatever room. So let's say you start off and you said, you're in 401, 403.
Yes.
And that's how the shift starts. New patient gets admitted and we want you to have them. He would have to come in here and say, you now have patient in 411. Now anything that goes on in 411 is going to go to your phone.
Okay. All right.
And usually also on the night shift, we have lesser staff, and then the next shift, they have more staff. So that means on the night shift, we're only using minimum phone, and then they'll be using more.
Yep. So ideally, he could probably even pre-assign, right? I have some facilities that will use Post-its, and when it's, because they'll have extra badges and a couple extra phones. So literally, when I'm coming on, he'll have it, the phones and the badges already up here with the Post-it that says Jonathan. And I just grab them, and then I know they're already assigned for me. I clip on my badge, I put my phone in my pocket, and I'm up and running.
Will you be having training on your phones?
Yes.
So I would ask your Cisco representative trainer, how do you manage these phones?
Well, actually, it's not with an orientation with the phone. It's with the vendor, and then we're trying to tie this all in together.
Yeah, so I would
then
ask
this
them what are
phone-
their policies
Ask
on
them
other.
what
Yeah, ask them what their best practice is to manage your phones, because the phones are gonna walk away. and
Yes.
They're very expensive, right? So ask them what their best practice for managing for that, signing them in or out, or some phones have an automatic sign-in software that picks up the phone. So you wanna ask them, how do you manage these so you don't lose them? And if you do lose one, can we see who used one last? Because sometimes it'll pick up. So, good question to find out. What do they suggest?
When is the training for the phones?
Don't know.
We don't know.
I do know one thing though, because I was ordering the phones the other day. I had to figure out how many phones were going to be in the nursing station, and we're ordering the cordless phone, the wireless phone.
The Cisco.
The Cisco. And then we're talking about banks. How many should we have?
right.
So then I suggested in Telly, we got 12 beds. I suggested 15. So we actually have 3. But then I was thinking about the overlap. So we would have it charging in a bank. So it was like you had to turn it over before.
Yeah, eventually that battery's
Yeah.
going to die and it has to be
Yeah.
recharged, but that person is still going to need a
But
phone.
then somebody told me that, then I asked the other question. Let's just say I'm on another floor, I have extra banks, and I found out that Telly lost it or they don't have enough. I can actually take the phone from 3rd, bring it up to the 6th floor, have IT program it to be a Telly.
Well, what I'd suggest is you have some extra phones, because pretty soon you're not gonna have any phones here. I used to work in this industry.
What do you mean, it disappears?
They just disappear, or it goes to the
Have
ED.
legs.
Yeah, but it doesn't work once it leaves the building, so who would want it?
No, I'm saying,
That's a good question.
no,
You still have to-
unit to unit. They go, oh, I know down on 4th floor, they've got some extra phones.
Yeah.
I can't find mine, they're gonna come here and borrow your phone.
But they
it
would have
doesn't
been
matter.
programmed
They
to the
don't-
previous
Even
ones,
though
we
it
just
leaves
do
here
back
and
to-
it doesn't
Yeah.
work anywhere,
You
they
just
don't
wanna
care, they
come
just
up-
steal it.
Come up with a policy.
Even with our equipment, they can't use a flow meter at home, they bring it home.
Yes.
You just come
It
up.
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
This
come
is-
up with a process, ask the Cisco rep, what's your best practice?
Have a buzzer when you go through the door.
Yeah.
The department
Yeah.
store.
It just happens.
Happens.
All right.
With our equipment.
Okay.
I did. I'm a hacker.
Alright, so we have day, every day, and the days start at
7.
7.
3:30.
So 3:30 is 13.
15.
No, 15,
15.
15:30.
That's right, 15. Thank you.
30.
30. And then we're gonna go evening. All days.
Start with
1,500.
15. And goes to 23:30.
I mean, with our kids,
Yeah.
it's hard. You really have to practice.
Right.
Like, otherwise it's gonna come second.
Every day.
So that's gonna be hard because we're not really over here. We come over to play.
2300. So now, staff.
Oh, you can
Where
Assign
am
the
I?
shift.
I was up somewhere. There I am. I'm an aide. Shifts. So now you have day, evening, and night, right? So let's say, and you can assign yourself more than one. So now I'm on evening. So now my name dropped down, right? See this? That means not working. The circle would mean they're next on shift. Triangle means not working. But I can still come in, clear, select all, and pre-assign my rooms. So as soon as that time comes, my name is going to go up towards the top. Everybody who's on shift will then drop down. And so the last thing you would have to do is assign that wireless device. Make sense?
Assign me
have to
5
assign the
patients.
badge.
And then the badge if it's floating, correct. So Bonnie, what's your shift? Are you continuous?
7 to 3. So what is continuous? Define continuous.
24 hours.
Are you kidding? I need a break. Day shift. What do we do for somebody who works at 12-hour? We have had people work 12 hours.
Yeah, what do you do in that? Like if they come in an extra 4.
I can create.
458.
Okay, there's no conflict. If it's a conflict,
It'll show.
yeah. Just like the
Will we leave this on the nursing
Now,
units for
your
the
support staff, see this column that says support staff? Again, everything in the system, from the pull cords to the routine call, everything has a time parameter with it. So what we do is we use that support staff, and what that is, the initial call will go to that RN assigned. 5 minutes goes by and they haven't been in there to cancel it, the call is going to come back through the system. And it's going to page them again, but it can also page their support staff.
Sign.
So I have some facilities
let's say-
that will literally,
I put two RN on one patient.
you can put more than, yep, you can do one on a patient or you can do everybody on the patient, it's up to you. Right? But now for your support staff, right, so, staff, so maybe for your support staff, some people want for an RN, they'll assign every other RN that person's support staff. So that way, when that time elapses and nobody's been in there, it's going to page all the other RNs on the floor. It's about teamwork, getting in, right? Patient safety, addressing the patient needs. So you can do that. So now they hit their button. It's first going to go to Cleo, but in 5 minutes, if Cleo hasn't gone in there, whether it was gowned up and in a room or taking a smoke break, whatever the case is, nobody's been in that room to address it. It will then page their support staff.
Rodell.
Now let's say
Rodell,
none of the
two
support staff
CNAs.
goes in.
Support staff.
Another 5 minutes goes by.
Yeah.
It's going to page
Two
Bonnie.
CNAs.
Bonnie's the supervisor. So if Bonnie ever gets a call, right? So Bonnie, not assigned to rooms, not assigned to a support staff. If Bonnie gets a call on her phone, she knows it is now the 3rd time that call has gone through the system with nobody getting into that room. Heads are going to fly.
So it's always
That's-
good when you
it's a good backup.
experiment
Yes.
to
get
put all support stuff on all the patients.
So, yep. I mean, I have some people that were literally support staff. They just hit select all. You have,
Everybody helps everybody.
but at that case though, you got to remember when you guys hit all, you have your lab, your X-ray.
Okay.
You probably don't want to
So
do
you know,
that.
like I'm thinking support system, if you got 2 CNAs, Rodell can assign both CNAs. If we have one nurse for this room, support staff would be the charge nurse, or one more. So everybody takes turn. You'd be a support for one team, and then your charge nurse. Then you'd be a support for her, charge nurse. You'd be a support for her, charge nurse, support. Do it like that.
Yeah, at night we're minimum, so I just do
Everybody
helps
helps.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the time, nighttime, it's everybody who's on is everybody's support staff. It's teamwork.
So Jonathan, is this pretty much it? Because we got like 12 minutes before we go upstairs to do, get monitors.
Oh, no, we need.
Yeah, no,
Do you guys
that's,
have questions for Jonathan?
you see why I wanted 2 hours for this?
yeah.
Right, your regular training, we're not gonna have this back and forth. We're
Yeah.
not gonna be talking policies and procedures. So really, that should only take you 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
The last thing I do wanna show you is the in-room care board. So if I can have this.
Okay, well, we have a,
Close it out.
what's with the FC?
Focus Care. Focus Care. So all of your computers on wheels will have an icon. They set this up real fast. I'm sure they can come up with a better picture, but it's FC Care Board. So you're going to click on that, and it's going to bring you to this page. We're on the 4th floor, and we're going to change board 405A. Again, it's a little easier to train on this if you're actually in the room with the computer, but you'll see all of these tabs kind of flow right along with the board, right? You have the option of putting in a nickname for the patient if you want. Their physicians eventually will automatically update, but sometimes that changes and maybe you want to do it. But you have your medication education, discharge plan, daily plan. You're simply just going to click on it, type in whatever it is. Medication, you know, completed review of
Coumadin.
discharge plan, right? ASAP. Let's get you out of here.
Just came in.
So we also have these attributes, which a lot of these
Oh, nice.
we are also going to be able to modify. Each column just matches up.
Say ASAP,
What does it
get
say
out
as
of
soon as
here.
possible? What does it say?
You know what? I know they were playing with the IT. So I'll have them check on that. They may have to do the refresh, but basically as soon as you fill in a column on that and hit save, it'll automatically populate on here. They're still getting them installed. They're still working on the network.
So the
and
question was,
everything.
where am I at? Would it have been in this box?
No.
No, it would have been
Oh, my
question for your
was
doctor,
for my doctor.
right? So
I have
again,
idea why I got admitted. And then they can decide when I'm gonna go home.
Can I have a commode? Can I have a walker? Can I have a wheelchair?
That will be social worker, not for the
There's no
doctor.
social worker.
But it still needs
still
to
have
be
to get ordered.
addressed by the doctor.
You still have to get ordered.
They still have to get ordered.
Can I have a?
yeah, they don't have it, and we got to work with that network.
So Jonathan, a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
We need to talk about your, the schedule for the rest of the week, like what you